Going to the club is not a hobby. Hanging out with your friends is not a hobby. Social media and entertainment are not hobbies. And the sooner you realize this, the sooner you see your life for what it actually is. A gift. Your time is being sucked away by your short attention span and day-to-day obligations, and you are getting nothing back for it. When someone you just meet asks you, what do you do for fun? Does your mind go blank? You think about how all of your free time outside of work or school is just other people. The pressure in your life just seems never ending. If this sounds like you, a hobby might seem like the last thing on your to-do list. It might seem like a chore that you just simply don't have time for, but by the end of this video, I'll give you the tools you need to become a more interesting person. Let me paint a picture of your life real fast. You get home from work and your mind is exhausted. All you want is a distraction from all of the things you have going on. You crash down in your bed feeling defeated by the day and overwhelmed by tomorrow. You don't care that you have laundry piling up. You don't care that you have all of these different things in your life you need to take care of. You simply just want space. But is your mind actually relaxing when you scroll on social media? Or is it numbing you out from the problems that you face in your life to the problems of the day-to-day world? The things you feed your mind manifest. And if you're constantly feeding it other people's highlight reels, drama, and mindless content, you are denying yourself of the chance to grow into something more. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Natalie, and this is where I share ways I'm getting my shit together so that you can get your shit together. Okay, quick little story. I used to be boring. I used to be the type of person who didn't really know how to share with people what my interests really were, because a lot of my interests just seemed lame. That is why this video is all about how to become a more interesting person through hobbies, and why I believe constantly focusing on work or school is actually detrimental to your mental health, because I've experienced that firsthand. We all know a person who lights up the room with interesting stories, unique perspectives on their life, and they have so many diverse niche talents. You're like, can I be you? And the good news, that can be you. Not by taking someone's personality, not by fabricating who you are or putting on a mask, but by enriching your own life and bringing more depth into your relationships and experiences. Here's the truth. Interesting people are not just born interesting. They're built through deliberate choices about how they spend their energy. They're the ones interested and always trying to find new ways to level up. Speaking of new ways to level up, today's sponsor, Skillshare, has completely changed my outlook on hobby development and how to become a more interesting person. Quick story, when I first decided to take graphic design, I was so overwhelmed with where to start. Should I buy these fancy programs? Should I take an in-person class? I was so overwhelmed by all of these different options until I found Skillshare. If you're not familiar with Skillshare, it's the largest online learning community designed specifically for creatives. They have thousands of creative classes covering everything from painting and crafts to cooking, language learning, and even mindfulness practices. The classes themselves are taught by industry experts who follow a learn by doing approach instead of just mindlessly figuring it out. You can create projects as you learn. It's perfect for busy people because you can take everything at your own pace with stackable lessons that fit into your schedule. My recent favorite class has been content creation in Canva, from beginner to advanced, by Maggie Stara. It's completely transformed how I approach my creative projects and my thumbnails on my YouTube. And what I love about it is I can learn digital art for just 15 minutes a day, so I don't get overwhelmed by my hobby, but excited for it. Cultivating a daily art habit also gives you an outlet for when you're going through things in your life. Like when you're sad, you make art. When you're happy, you make art. When you're angry, you make art. I find that it's given me more of a purpose in my own personal life, so I hope the same for you. The best part is the first 500 people who go to the link in my description get 1 month completely free of Skillshare. That's 1 month to try out any single hobby you'd like and become a more interesting person by learning new interesting things. So be sure to grab that trial now because it's only available for the first 500 people who click that link. Thank you so much, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to the video. The first thing I'm going to want you to do is bring out a piece of paper and we are going to map your energy. We need to understand where your energy is actually going on a day-to-day basis in order for it to be shifted. This isn't about time management, it's about energy management. Of course, there's things you do in your life that are productive, but how does your energy feel about it? We all have the same 24 hours, but not all hours of the day are created equal. I want you to track your energy levels day to a day for about a week, morning, afternoon, and evening, and ask yourself, which times of the day am I the most energized? When am I entering my creative flow? You might discover that you have a really high pocket of energy right after lunch, and this can be a little time that you set aside for yourself to do something that makes you happy. Now, you don't have to physically write it down. You can even do this in your notes app, but the next thing I want you to do is a mind map. We're going to explore your current interests by dividing them into branches on a piece of paper. Now, for those of you that are new to my channel, we've done mind maps here before. It's really helpful if you're a visual learner, because if you're anything like me, I have all of my interests in my mind where I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do that, but until I actually write it down, I'll forget about it. What topics make you stop scrolling? What conversations make you lean in? What thing did you love doing as a child before life got complicated? Really get into it. This is your personal data, and it will reveal things that you genuinely like about yourself, so that way your hobbies don't seem so draining. We need to acknowledge and explore where your natural curiosity is, because you don't want to force yourself to do something that's not you. You probably told yourself, I don't have time for hobbies, and I want you to eliminate that phrase from your vocabulary. The truth is, we make time for what we prioritize. The average American spends 3 hours and 15 minutes on their phone every single day. That's nearly 23 hours a week. Just imagine what you could accomplish if you reclaimed even just half of that time. Now, I'm not saying to delete social media and get off your phones, because obviously they're useful tools, but what I am saying is, do you really need to scroll on Instagram for another hour at night? Something I recently did was a digital declutter, where I tracked how often I was on social media, and then I asked myself in the midst of scrolling how my energy felt. Because scrolling isn't just entertainment, it's an energy exchange. When you're engaging with certain content, you are exchanging energy, and what you pay attention to grows. Over on my school community, you can go find the digital declutter that I actually did. So if you're looking for a support group, I'll link that in the description. But the key is to start small. You don't need 3-hour blocks of free time in order to dedicate to your hobby. In fact, the research actually shows that small, consistent sessions are actually more effective than the occasional marathon sessions, because it actually helps you build and retain the skill. I recommend starting with what I like to call hobby snacking, just 15 to 30 minute focus sessions. These small, consistent investments help you become more interesting, because you're actually funneling that energy back into yourself instead of throwing your attention at things that don't really matter. Now that we've discussed the time myth, I want to talk to you guys about something that really resonates with me, and that's selecting high value hobbies instead of ones that drain your energy. Now, what actually makes a hobby high value? Because that term high value seems a little bit scary at first. It's associated with a lot of different things, but a high value hobby isn't one that you have to spend a lot of money on. Instead, it's about a returned investment on your life. There are hobbies that are going to add to your life and not subtract from it, and those are the ones that you're going to want to learn. These high value hobbies share 3 characteristics. Number 1, they have depth, meaning you can continue to learn about them over a lifetime. Number 2, they offer both personal enjoyment and practical benefits. And number 3, they connect you to communities of like-minded people. To give a more clear idea, let me share some examples of hobbies that fit into these categories. Number 1, anything that has creative expression. This can be photography, drawing, art. This is for the crafty people, or even the musicians out there. There's so many different creative ways to express yourself, and these develop your aesthetic and give you a unique voice. Number 2, skill-based learning. These are things like cooking, gardening, carpentry, or even coding. These are practical skills that make you more self-sufficient and capable, and if there's a genuine interest in a skill you have, it might even become your job one day. If it's not your job, it'll be an essential part of your life and happiness. Number 3, physical disciplines. This isn't even just the gym, right? A lot of people are going to the gym nowadays, but this can also be dance, yoga, hiking. These connect you to your body and build confidence in the process. Number 4, intellectual pursuits. These are things like reading, language learning, chess, or even debates. These are things that use a lot of mental energy and sharpen your mind and your worldview in the process. And number 5, service-oriented activities. This is going to be community service work, volunteering, and serving a purpose beyond just yourself. Now, I know what you're thinking, that sounds great, but how do I actually start? Let me share how I began developing my own hobbies after years of feeling like I had no time. Number 1, I chose something that I was already passionate about. Some of you might not know this, but I've actually been a YouTuber ever since I was around 12 years old. I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I was always really interested in Flash games like Club Penguin, Animal Jam, I don't know, Movie Star Planet. Like, I was always really interested in that as a kid, and I would always make little videos of myself playing the game, but then I actually started to learn skills like video editing. I never started video editing or doing YouTube with the expectation that it would make me money one day. I simply followed my natural curiosity, and it led me to doing YouTube. A lot of people start making crafts or doing YouTube with the intent that I just want to make money. However, this will only lead you to feel like your hobby is work. This is the problem I began running into once I started actually generating money from YouTube and started taking it more seriously. Video editing didn't become just like something I would do in my free time for fun. It started to be I'm clocking in order to make content for you guys. This is when I had to pivot and create a new hobby so that way I could maintain my own mental sanity and not feel like I didn't have any time for myself. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love you guys, but I think it's very healthy to have other outlets. That way you don't get so overconsumed in your work. I started making jewelry and even took a drawing class despite the fact that I was never really a big artist person, just to improve my skills and test my limits. I would even pair working on my hobby with entertaining myself. For example, while I was drawing, I would put on a podcast I like to listen to. That way I'm entertaining myself at the same exact time as doing something I love. This satisfied my need for mental stimulation without making me feel like a lazy couch potato. Additionally, I started to work out and test my mental and physical strength. Naturally, I began to see myself as a more interesting person because I found that every single one of my hobbies I listed fit into one of those 5 categories I was talking about earlier. The truth is, I set no expectation on myself to fulfill these hobbies and instead focused on the enjoyment of being in the present moment and doing it. It was all about consistency over perfection, and this is extremely important if you're wanting to become actually good at something, because when you remove the pressure to be immediately good, you actually improve faster. And number 5, this is the most important step, I created non-negotiable hobby time. Just like you schedule meetings and appointments or time to go to work, I schedule my hobby time throughout the week. That way I don't feel overwhelmed when I get to the end of the week and I haven't worked on my hobby at all. At first, this felt selfish. Why am I focusing on this random hobby when I could be focusing on something more productive? But what I discovered is that these hobby sessions were actually the foundation of my mental well-being. They weren't stealing time, they were enhancing the quality of my other time. So here's how you can practically start integrating your hobbies into your life tomorrow. Number 1, pick one hobby from your mind map. Choose something that genuinely interests you, not something that you think should interest you. Number 2, gather minimal supplies. You do not need professional equipment in order to start your hobby. Use what you have or invest in just the basics. Perfectionism is the enemy of progress, so just keep that in mind, especially if you're someone who always likes to pick up new hobbies and ditch other ones. Number 3, schedule 3 20-minute sessions a week. Put time in your calendar like any other thing you have to do, and choose a time where your energy audit showed you have the most energy. Number 4, use a timer to actually time the 20 minutes that you do your hobby. You can do more than 20 minutes if you want to, but something that I found with myself is I'll hyper focus on things and then I'll stop doing them altogether because I stop finding it interesting. And if you're anything like this, you might have ADHD like me, okay? But I would hyper focus on things, and then when I found that it didn't stimulate my mind anymore, I would just altogether stop doing that hobby. And so limiting the amount of time you spend on your hobby actually helps you have like a slow burn instead of something where you immediately get into it and you can't sustain it in the long run. Number 5, prepare your environment. Remove distractions. Set up your space. Don't do it in a messy room where you're gonna get overwhelmed, or else your brain is going to start associating your hobby with overwhelm. Treat this time as sacred. Light a candle, curate a vibe, put on lo-fi hip-hop, whatever you have to do to get in the zone. And finally, focus on the progress, not the outcome. Don't judge your early attempts at your hobby, because everyone has been there at some point. Remember that becoming more interesting isn't about having some Instagram-worthy hobby that others can admire. It's about developing a rich inner life that serves you. The external validation will come naturally. So this week, I challenge you. Reclaim just 1 hour of your time from mindless scrolling and invest in a hobby that can change your life. Go find a hobby on Skillshare with the link in my description. The first 500 people get their first 1 month free. All my links will be in the description. Be sure you're subscribed and you have post notifications on, and be sure you're protecting your energy this week, bestie. Okay, I love you. Bye.